This video is brought to you by hoodbeast.com. Design your own custom hoodies. hoodbeast.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Seth Fowler, and today I'm comparing the old to the new by comparing the OG Bred 1 to the brand new Flyknit Bred 1. The Bred Air Jordan 1 has been one of the most sought after and classic silhouettes that Air Jordan has ever released, and that's because of its history and also its good looks. This sneaker dates back to 1985 as Michael Jordan's first signature shoe, and ever since then it's been pretty popular. This year Jordan Brand's doing something a little bit different and taking one of their newer technologies, Flyknit, and putting it on the original classic Air Jordan 1. Even though these sneakers look very similar to a lot of people out there in the world, there are some differences that people like and some differences that people don't like. So why don't we talk about them? The entire upper of the original Air Jordan 1 is covered in premium leather, a feature which a lot of people liked, including myself. The leather is pretty soft, at least for this particular 2016 version of the shoe. You've got a very nice tumble texture on the heel and on the toe box of the shoe, which give it an even more premium look. And even though the upper is pretty rigid, it's still a very comfortable sneaker. I could go on more about this shoe, but you guys pretty much already know everything there is to know about this shoe, so why don't we move on to the Flyknit. So if you guys would like to learn more about the 2016 retro of the shoe, make sure to check out my review at the top of the screen. As I mentioned before, the shoe does look very similar to the original Air Jordan 1, and that's in part because of the color blocking, but also the shape of the shoe. The main difference between the two sneakers is the construction of the upper. As I mentioned before, on the original Bred 1, you've got an all-leather upper. On this particular version of the shoe, you've got a full Flyknit upper. For those of you not familiar with Flyknit, basically it's Nike's proprietary knit technology that they've used on runners in the past. It was designed to be light, flexible, and breathable while still holding the structure of the shoe. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen a million different Flyknit shoes with the Flyknit Racers, the Flyknit AF1s. There's a bunch of different Flyknit sneakers to choose from, but I don't think the material itself is the reason people don't like this sneaker. Now, of course, you guys are probably saying, of course it's a material, that's the only difference. What I mean by that is that people do actually like the Flyknit material, they just don't like that Jordan Brand has messed with the original silhouette. And that's totally fair. Most people, including myself, like the look of the original Bred 1 more than the Flyknit version. But just because the material that Jordan Brand has used has changed doesn't mean I think you should discount the sneaker altogether. Now, in full disclosure, yes, Jordan Brand did send me the shoe a little bit early, so I am slightly biased towards the shoe. However, I've got to say, when I first saw these shoes online, I wasn't a fan. And the main reason I didn't like them wasn't because of the use of Flyknit, it was because of a really weird sort of minor reason. On the original Bred 1, all the colors were solid. There was no blending. If you had a black, it was black. If you had a red, it was red. However, on the Flyknit Jordan 1, because there are multiple layers of Flyknit, Jordan Brand decided to sort of mix up the colors a little bit. For example, on the toe box, underneath the red Flyknit, there is a layer of black Flyknit, and then on the midfoot panel, underneath the black Flyknit, there was a layer of red Flyknit. Now, the toe box doesn't bother me as much because it's black, so it doesn't really look like there's anything going on underneath the red Flyknit. It's really this midfoot panel that bothers me. The red underneath the black almost gives it this sort of weird maroon look, which to be fair, you can't see from a distance, but when you get up close, it kind of bugs me out a little bit. However, when I got the shoes in hand, my opinion definitely changed overall. All the colors throughout the shoe are very nicely saturated. The blacks are black, the reds are reds. The side panel does still bug me a little bit, but like I said before, from a distance you can't even see it, and some people might actually like that. I think the reason I initially didn't like it, because it looks different from the original Bred ones, is now becoming one of the reasons why I like it, which is kind of weird. I kind of like that they try different things with the different textures of the Flyknits to simulate that layering that the leather has. I like that Jordan Brand added these leather details, especially on the sock liner. I think that's sick. Although this color scheme still kind of bothers me a little bit, it's really not a deal breaker. One thing I've got to say though, although this shoe looks similar from a distance, up close, they are relatively different. So visually, the OG Bred 1 is always going to be my favorite. In fact, I think it might actually be my favorite sneaker of all time. The Bred Flyknit ones are definitely a clean sneaker. They're never going to replace the Bred 1 OGs for me. However, I don't really think of this shoe as the same sneaker, if you kind of get my drift. I wouldn't call this like a version 2 of the Air Jordan 1. I would just call this like sort of a different Air Jordan 1. It's not the same shoe. As for comfort, there are some differences between the Flyknit Air Jordan 1 and the original Air Jordan 1. The first obviously being the Flyknit material. It's definitely a lot lighter than the original leather. It also is a lot more flexible, which I like. One thing I saw a lot in the comments of my review of this sneaker is that people seem to like the fact that the Flyknit wouldn't actually crease, whereas the leather does crease. I personally like the way the leather creases. I think it looks really cool and it makes the sneaker look very nice and worn in. Kind of gives it more personality. I dig that. The Flyknit version is definitely more breathable, which is nice. So I decided to grab a scale to actually weigh these and see what the difference is. So here goes the original Bred 1. That weighs in at 15.5 ounces. Okay, let's try the Flyknit Bred 1. That weighs in at 14 ounces. So not a huge difference, but there is a little bit of difference there. There is actually one other big difference between the Flyknit version and the regular version, in that the Flyknit version actually has a heel zoom air unit. When I first stepped in the shoe, I definitely noticed it, which is funny because I didn't even know it was there at the time, and I thought, that's weird, that feels like a zoom unit. And it definitely adds a little bit of step-in comfort, which I do like. However, I think some of that comfort actually comes from the more memory foam-like insole that they use in the Flyknit version over the regular version. However, the original Air Jordan 1 is definitely not an uncomfortable shoe. I really like the way this shoe feels as well. Overall, I think these are both really great sneakers. Obviously, I'm gonna prefer the original to the new version because I think it just looks better and it's still pretty comfortable. However, if you're interested in the way that the Flyknit version looks and feels, it's definitely worth checking out. It definitely looks better in person than it did online. It's not a huge difference, but it's definitely noticeable. If you're an OG head and the Flyknit just isn't for you, don't even worry about it. Go for the original OG. That's the way you're always gonna go, and that's fine. I mean, it's the Bred 1. It's an awesome sneaker. It looks great. It's pretty comfortable. And it's the original. And finally, if you missed out on the Bred 1 and you don't want to pay resale prices and the 1.5 return version from last year is not for you, then the Flyknit 1 is definitely a good option. The material is super comfortable and breathable. The heel zoom air unit adds a lot of step-in comfort, and it looks like a Bred 1. So that's a plus. I know a lot of you guys won't like the Flyknit ones no matter what I say, and that's fine. It's all your opinion. This is just my thoughts and my opinions in this video. So make sure to leave a comment in the comment section down below letting me know what you think of either sneaker and why. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to me, Seth Fowler, if you want to see more content just like this, and follow me in all other forms of social media. The links will be in the description below.